Hi, good evening. My name is Bong Austero, and this is my first vlog. Welcome to my bedroom. Wow! Okay, so I think I need to introduce myself. Some of you may know me as a writer. I used to write an opinion column for the Manila Standard for 10 years, from 2006 up to, you know, 2016 or 2017. Some of you may know me as a professor. Some of you may have been my student at one point. I've been teaching in the last 20 years in a university in Taft. Some of you may know me as a trainer. For the last 20 years, I've been doing training work for a number of organizations. Some of you may know me as an HR person. I used to be HR director of a major universal bank. Well, actually, I've always been an HR person all my professional life. And up until early this year, I was head of human resources of a major universal bank. I took early retirement in February to take care of myself. I was diagnosed with cancer. Fortunately, if I can use the word fortunately, the cancer is something that's treatable. So I've had surgery recently, and I'm about to undergo radiation. The prognosis seems to be good. But after working for 20 years, doing 3-4 jobs, I had a full-time job, and I would teach at night, and I would do consulting work in the weekends, and I used to write a column, and I'm very active in many professional organizations. So I was really stretching myself, to the limits, and I guess my body finally told me it's time to slow down. So I took early retirement. I thought it was time to take a break and take care of myself. And then the pandemic happened. Okay, so everything happens for a reason. So I've been taking this opportunity to do a lot of reflection. Of course, I'm finishing my PhD also. Finally sitting down to really work on it, because I've been postponing it for the longest time already. And then you're doing a lot of things, and people have been telling me, hey, why don't you put up a vlog? Because in the early 2000, I was a blogger. At the time, blogging was the in thing, and I actually became viral at a certain point. Actually, my blog is still out there, but I don't think anybody reads it. Anybody reads blogs anymore. So, there's a lot of content that I can share with people, and I hope that this will be a channel that where we can interact, and where I can share with you many of my passions. I'm a very passionate person, so there's quite a lot of things that I've always been a teacher. When I was young, I was asked, supposedly, my mom would tell me that when I spoke at a very early age. So I was asked, ako ng nanay ko, what do you want to be when you grow up? And supposedly I said I wanted to be a teacher. Maybe because all my role models were teachers. My grandmother was a teacher, my grandfather was a teacher, my mom was a public school teacher, many of my aunts were teachers, but also because at a very early age I was taught how to read. I think I was reading at like 3 years old already, and I was reading the Bible stories. I remember my grandmother bought me a set of Bible stories, and I would read them again and again and again and again. So there, three words that would probably describe me best. One, I'm a learner. I like learning, which is probably why I read a lot of books. I read a lot. One of my biggest fear is being stranded, being stuck in a situation where there's nothing to read. Okay, so everywhere I go, there's always a book in my bag, or there's a Kindle in all of my phones, in my laptop and in my iPhone, in my iPad, and you know. But I always make sure that I have something to read, and that's probably why I continue to teach until this pandemic happened. But I expect to go back to teaching, of course, because I like doing it. I like interacting with young people, but most of all because it forces me to learn, to relearn. Because you can't be a good teacher if you don't learn yourself as well, you know. It's a mutual process. You cannot teach what you don't know. I think the greatest crime that is when a teacher does not know what he or she is teaching. So one, I'm a learner basically. Second, I'm an HR person. So at one point, I was president of PMAP, which is the People Management Association of the Philippines. I advocate human capital management in the Philippines. I strongly believe that people are our country's only lasting source of competitive advantage. You know, halos lahat ng natural resources natin, they're all gone. But what we do have are people, you know, so we need to make sure that our people, you know, that we continue to invest heavily on the development of our people at a very early age, you know, and we need to point them at the right direction. And that's my other passion, people. The third is art. I'm very passionate about art, and one of the things that I hope to be able to share with you is my collection. You know, I have a collection of sculptures, paintings that I've accumulated through the years. No, I'm basically a pack rat. I rarely throw things away. Um, so I have books in this room, and we have a library, and there are boxes of books that that I brought home from the office when I retired, and they're not yet sorted out. I have withdrawals syndrome when I don't get to visit a library or when I don't get to visit a bookstore. So one of the things that I hope to be able to share with you, books probably, and maybe hacks. I like doing hacks. And speaking about hacks, one of the things that I'd like to share with you is how I take down notes. Because every time I interact with learners, one of the things that I teach them how to do is how to take down notes. Well, I own two cell phones. I have an iPod, and I have a laptop, and I have all of these gadgets, but I still keep a notebook. I like writing things down, so when I used to write a column, I would make sure that I would have a notebook with me everywhere I go, because sometimes ideas come to you at the most unexpected times, and you tend to forget about them. So I would write them down so that when I would actually sit down to write a column, I would be able to do it quickly, because when you're writing a column, you're racing against a deadline. And I must admit, there are days when you're basically just filling space in a newspaper, but there are also days when you come up with something more thoughtful. So the way and one of the things that helps me do that, distill my thinking process, is write down ideas, write down everything. So I continue to use a notebook and a pen, and I write ideas. I go to conferences, I write insights. When I'm in meetings, I write reminders. I do a to-do list practically every day. I'm the kind of person who always brings a notebook and a pen wherever I go. When I attend meetings, or when I attend conferences, or wherever I go, I make sure that I will always have something to write on. For the life of me, I'm very old-fashioned that way. I like scribbling. Maybe because I've always believed that the learning process is enhanced when you actually write it longhand, because you actually see the ideas being written down. There's a distinct connection between, you know, writing and brain processes. You see it, and there's a kinesthetic experience because you actually write down the ideas. In fact, I read somewhere that one of the ways to increase fluency is, to copy down in your notebook, whatever, essays, poetry, or even, passages from books that you like. Just transfer them in your own handwriting into notebooks, and that's supposed to also increase your own fluency. Anyway, so what I always tell my students on the first day of class is that, there's actually a way to professionalize, to put system into your note taking. When I was younger, I also, was taught to have different notebooks when I was going to school in elementary and high school. Even when I was in college, I would carry around notebooks, one for each subject. And of course, when I was in college, nauso na yung notebook na, may dividers na. Tapos nauso na yung pile of facts. So you can actually just divide a notebook into specific divisions, no. But through the years, I've learned the system. I don't really know where I learned this, but maybe I've been doing this in the last 10 years. Okay. I think I read about this somewhere, and I thought, wow, what a brilliant idea. So I started doing it, and I started teaching people how to do it. So what I do is I just write down. So for example, this is my current notebook. I'm partial to Moleskine notebooks, but it doesn't have to be that. So I write, and when I write, I, for example, and then I create at the back, at the last page, like some kind of a table of contents where I put a label on topic labels, okay, on whatever it is that I'm writing about. So for example, this is a new notebook. I've only been using this for like maybe a month or so, maybe 2 months. So for example, I'm doing something related to my doctoral studies. So for example, this one, so I put a tab here, and at the end, it's like at my PhD journey. Okay, so I also put a tab, just using a pen. And I do that, every time I write something, I would simply put a tab using a pen, draw a shade in one side of the notebook. Okay, so for example, this is a new notebook, so I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so far 5 tabs, that I've shaded. Okay, so it's my PhD journey, it's quantum OD, because I started recently a webinar on quantum OD, and I've been interested in it, so I've been reading about it. And then I have like bank matters, because I write down, receipts, and I try to keep track of my statements and things like that. I have random ideas, and then I have vlog ideas, because I've started thinking about what to vlog about. So, and then, these are some of the notes that I've made in the last 1.5 years. And you will notice on top, I do that tab. I mark it with a pen. Okay, so for example, here it's here because it corresponds to vlog ideas. So when you look at it, you can actually see, and so when you're looking for notes on specific topics, you can just go to the last page, and then you can actually do that and say, ito yung pages na may quantum OT. Ito yung pages na may anything to do with the bank. So ito yung pages. So you can just go back to that, no? So, for example, these are my notebooks in the last 2-3 years. Yung iba naka-box, you know? So, ito yung nasa kwarto ko because sometimes I like going back and reviewing my notes. So for example, this is my notebook before this notebook. So, ito yung last page niya. So, madami siyang tabs, no? Madami siyang topics. Tapos, pag tinignan mo yung side ng notebook ko, makikita mo talaga siya, madami siyang itim. Okay? So for example, mga to-do ko here, so, makikita nyo siya. Pag tinignan mo siya sa gilid, yun. So you can keep track of your notes. So for example, if you're a student, you don't have to have separate notebooks for separate subjects. You can just have one notebook. So kasi ang hirap magdala when you're a college student. Hirap magdala ng madaming notebooks, ha? So you can just have one notebook and just keep on writing. What you just need to do is put a tab, draw an ink mark on the side of the notebook, and then at the end you write the topic and you align it with the tab that you use to mark those pages. Okay, so madaling hanapin kung asa na yung notes mo. I hope that you learned something from that. Writing down is one of the more rewarding activities you can do. In fact, it's recommended that upon waking up, after praying, of course, it might be a good idea for you to just write down whatever comes to mind. It can be a letter, it can be your prayer, it can be your reflections for the day, because it helps you focus your mind on something. Okay, lalo na in these times where we need to take care of our mental health. So it's an activity that helps you get focused, and it's a good mental discipline. So this is my first vlog. I'm Bong Austero. So thank you for watching this vlog, and I hope that you will subscribe. I haven't quite mastered my spiel yet, but please subscribe to this vlog, and I hope to share with you many of the other things that I like to do. Hopefully, I'll be able to vlog about many other things in the next few days. Thank you, and see you again in the next vlog.